My husband left their laptop open. I found a folder with my name. I should have known something was wrong when Mark started closing his laptop every time I walked into the room. But Tuesday morning, he forgot. The kids were having a meltdown over breakfast. Emma spilled orange juice all over her school uniform and Jake was crying because his toast was the wrong shape, and Mark bolted out the door for his 7:30 a.m. meeting, leaving his MacBook wide open on the kitchen counter. After I got the kids cleaned up and out the door, I came back to close it. Just being helpful, like I'd been for the past 8 years of marriage. The screen was still glowing, showing his desktop with the usual scattered folders, work presentations, tax documents 2023, photos. And then I saw it. A folder labeled Sarah Personal. My stomach dropped. Why would my husband have a folder with my name on it? We shared everything, bank accounts, passwords, even Amazon orders. What could he possibly need to keep separate about me? I stared at that folder for what felt like an eternity, my coffee growing cold in my hands. The rational part of my brain said to close the laptop and ask him about it later. The other part, the part that had been picking up on his late nights, his sudden interest in working out after work, his phone always face down on the table, that part clicked open the folder. The first thing I saw was a spreadsheet titled Joint Account Transfers 2023. My hands started shaking as I scrolled down the rows. $3,200 transferred to ML Investment Holdings on January 15, $2,800 on February 3, $4,100 on February 28. The transfers went back months, sometimes twice a month, always varying amounts between $2,000 and $5,000. I did quick math in my head. We kept about $8,000 in our joint checking at any given time. I balanced that account every month. How had I missed over $50,000 in transfers? Then I realized he'd been timing them perfectly. Moving money out right after his paycheck deposits, before I did the monthly reconciliation. The account balance never looked wrong because he was careful to leave enough for our regular expenses. My coffee mug hit the counter harder than I intended. There were more files. A PDF labeled Investment Portfolio Summary, December 2023. I clicked it with trembling fingers. Account balance, $247,832.19. $247,000. Money that should have been ours, money for Emma's college fund, for Jake's speech therapy, for the kitchen renovation we'd been saving up for while I clicked coupons and bought generic cereal. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the Word document titled Draft Petition for Dissolution of Marriage. I felt like I was drowning. The document was dated 3 weeks ago, formatted on official letterhead from Hendricks, Palmer and Associates. Mark's signature was already there in blue ink, waiting only for the filing date. Under grounds for divorce, he'd cited irreconcilable differences. Under custody arrangement, he was requesting primary custody of both children, claiming I was financially unstable and unable to provide adequate support. Unable to provide adequate support. I'd given up my marketing career to raise our children. I'd been out of the workforce for 6 years because we'd agreed, together, that it was best for the family. I scrolled down, my vision blurring. There were more folders. Attorney correspondence. Custody strategy. Financial planning. And one more that made my blood freeze, Rachel, communications. Rachel. His coworker who'd been coming up in conversation a lot lately. I clicked on Rachel, communications, before I could stop myself. Screenshots. Dozens of them, organized by date going back 4 months. Text messages between Mark and Rachel Morrison from HR, the blonde who always laughed a little too hard at his jokes at company parties. Mark, September 15, 11:47 p.m., can't stop thinking about today. Asterisk Rachel, September 15, 11:52 p.m. me neither. When can we do it again? Asterisk. Mark, September 16, 12:03 a.m., Sarah's taking the kids to her mom's this weekend. I had to grip the counter to keep from falling. That weekend. I'd taken Emma and Jake to visit my mother in Portland while Mark claimed he needed to catch up on work projects. He'd seemed so grateful, kissing my forehead and telling me what a wonderful wife I was. The messages got worse. Asterisk Rachel, October 3rd, did you talk to the lawyer yet? Asterisk. Asterisk Mark, October 3rd, meeting him Thursday. He thinks we can argue she's been out of work too long to get significant alimony. Asterisk. Asterisk Rachel, October 3rd, what about the kids? Asterisk. Asterisk Mark, October 3rd, that's where it gets tricky. But if I can prove financial instability on her part, asterisk. Asterisk Rachel, October 3rd, the secret account helps with that, right? Shows you're the responsible one? Asterisk. Asterisk Mark, October 3rd exactly. She doesn't even know it exists. Asterisk. I actually laughed. A bitter, hollow sound that echoed in our empty kitchen. They were using the money he'd stolen from our joint account as evidence that I was financially irresponsible. There were photos too. Rachel in Mark's car, my car, technically, since it was paid for with our joint account. Rachel in what looked like a hotel room, wearing the blue shirt I bought Mark for his birthday. Screenshots of Zillow listings for apartments, sent back and forth with heart eye emojis. Asterisk Mark, November 18th, found the perfect place. 2 bedrooms so the kids can visit. Asterisk. Asterisk Rachel, November 18th visit? I thought you were going for full custody. Asterisk. Asterisk Mark, November 18th I am. But just in case. Asterisk. Asterisk Rachel, November 18th, what if Sarah finds out about us? Asterisk. Asterisk Mark, November 18th she won't. She's too busy with her mom groups and Pinterest projects to pay attention. Asterisk. Too busy with mom groups. I'd been running our household, raising his children, supporting his career for 6 years while he built a secret life with another woman. My phone buzzed. A text from Mark, forgot my laptop at home. Don't touch it, has sensitive work stuff. Love you. Love you. I screenshot his message and kept scrolling through his files. The attorney correspondence folder contained emails with David Hendricks. ESQ Mark had already paid him a $15,000 retainer, from the secret account, of course. They'd been strategizing for months. Hendricks had advised Mark to document any instances of my parenting failures and to maintain detailed financial records showing responsible money management. There was a Word document called Sarah Incidents that made my hands shake with rage. Mark had been keeping a journal, twisting normal parenting moments into evidence against me. October 12th, Sarah lost patience with Jake during homework, raised her voice. October 20th, left dishes in sink overnight, house maintenance issues. November 2, fell asleep during Emma's soccer game, possible neglect. I'd fallen asleep because I'd been up all night with Jake's fever. Mark knew that. He'd been there. The final file in the folder was a timeline, divorce execution plan. Mark intended to serve me papers on February 14th, Valentine's Day. He was going to destroy our family on Valentine's Day. I closed the laptop and walked to our bedroom, pulled out the small safe where we kept our important documents. Mark thought only he knew the combination, but I'd watched him open it hundreds of times. It was time to make some plans of my own. Inside the safe, I found copies of our marriage certificate, the kids' birth certificates, our mortgage papers, and Mark's life insurance policy. But tucked behind everything else was something I'd never seen before, a second phone. A cheap prepaid flip phone that looked ancient compared to Mark's iPhone. My heart hammered as I powered it on, praying the battery wasn't dead. It wasn't. The call log showed dozens of calls to one number over the past 3 months, some lasting over an hour. But it was the text messages that made me sit down hard on our bedroom floor. These weren't messages to Rachel. They were to someone named D. Chin, and they were about selling our house. Asterisk Mark, December 3rd, Sarah signed the refi papers. Equity line is approved $4.180K asterisk. Asterisk D. Chin, December 3rd, perfect. That gives us more flexibility with the transition asterisk. Asterisk Mark, December 5th, how quickly can we move once I file? Asterisk. Asterisk D. Chin, December 5th, market's hot right now. I can have buyers lined up. 30 to 45 days max asterisk. Asterisk Mark, December 8th, and she won't be able to stop the sale? Asterisk. Asterisk D. Chin, December 8th, not if you file first and claim financial hardship. Especially with a custody argument asterisk. I felt sick. 3 weeks ago, Mark had convinced me to sign papers for a home equity line of credit. He'd said it was just to have access to emergency funds and smart financial planning. I trusted him completely, barely reading the documents. He'd been planning to force the sale of our home, the home where I'd brought both babies back from the hospital, where Emma took her first steps, where Jake had finally said mama after months of speech therapy. I kept scrolling through the messages, each one worse than the last. Asterisk D. Chin, January 8th, any change in timeline? Asterisk. Asterisk Mark, January 8th, still targeting Valentine's Day for service. Rachel's lease is up March 1st, so timing works asterisk. Asterisk D. Chin, January 8th, I'll start showing it to my investor clients. Cash offers move faster asterisk. Asterisk Mark, January 10th, make sure they know it needs to be quick. I can't have Sarah interfering asterisk. Rachel's lease was up March 1st. They were planning to live together, in some new place, while I scrambled to find somewhere to take my children with no job, no savings, and no home. But there was more. A contact listed as M. Foster, PI, with a 3-day-old message thread, asterisk Mark, January 12th, need you to document her daily routine. School pickup, grocery store, that sort of thing asterisk. Asterisk M. Foster, January 12th, standard surveillance package is $2,500 for 2 weeks. What are we looking for? Asterisk. Asterisk Mark, January 12th, anything that shows neglect or irresponsible behavior. She meets with other moms at coffee shops a lot, sometimes has wine with lunch asterisk. Asterisk M. Foster, January 13th, got it. Building the unfit mother case asterisk. Mark, January 13th exactly. He'd hired a private investigator to follow me. To watch me pick up my children from school, to document my coffee dates with other moms, to twist my few moments of adult social interaction into evidence that I was an unfit mother. I thought about yesterday, when I'd met my friend Lisa for lunch at Panera after Emma's dentist appointment. I'd had exactly half a glass of wine with my sandwich while we talked about her divorce. Had someone been watching me? Taking photos? My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. I scrolled back through older messages and found threads with 2 other numbers. The first was labeled storage unit. Mark had rented a storage facility and had been moving items out of our house. Important items. Asterisk Mark, December 18th, got the rest of the financial documents moved. Birth certificates, marriage license, tax returns asterisk. Asterisk unknown, December 18th, unit 247 is secure. $89 per month autopay from your account asterisk. He'd been systematically removing important documents from our home. When he served me with divorce papers, I wouldn't even have access to the paperwork I'd need to protect myself. The second number was labeled J. Morrison, and I realized with a chill that this had to be Rachel's father asterisk Mark, January 5th, thank you again for the loan. This makes everything much cleaner asterisk. Asterisk J. Morrison, January 5th, happy to help. Rachel deserves to be happy asterisk. Mark, January 6th, the extra $50K means I can expedite the legal process. Asterisk J. Morrison, January 6th, just make sure this is handled quietly. My reputation in this town matters asterisk. Rachel's father had given Mark $50,000 to help destroy my marriage. Jim Morrison, I knew that name. He owned Morrison Construction, half the new developments in our area. He was on the school board. His money was funding my husband's affair and divorce strategy. I heard Mark's car in the driveway. I shoved the flip phone back into the safe, slammed it shut, and spun the combination lock. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears as Mark's footsteps approached the front door. Sarah? I'm back from my laptop, he called out, his voice cheerful and normal, like he hadn't been systematically planning to destroy my life for months. Coming. I managed to call back, forcing my voice to sound steady. I smoothed down my hair, wiped my eyes, and walked back to the kitchen where his MacBook sat closed on the counter. Mark was already there, sliding the laptop into his messenger bag. He looked up at me with that familiar smile, the one I'd fallen in love with 9 years ago, the one that used to make me feel safe and cherished. Thanks for not snooping, he said, kissing my cheek. The Peterson account stuff is really confidential. Peterson account. Another lie. I knew his work accounts, had helped him organize his client files just last month. There was no Peterson account. Of course, I said, leaning into his kiss like I always did. How was your meeting? Good, good. Looks like I might need to travel more this quarter though. Chicago, maybe Denver. His hand rested on my lower back, thumb tracing small circles the way he'd done since we were dating. I know it's hard with the kids, but the commissions will be worth it. More lies. I wondered if Chicago and Denver were code names for hotel rooms with Rachel. We'll manage, I said. We always do. That's my girl. He grabbed his travel coffee mug from the counter. Oh, I meant to tell you, I ran into Jim Morrison at the gym yesterday. He mentioned something about Emma maybe applying for their family scholarship next year. Apparently they give out a few college grants to local kids. Jim Morrison. Rachel's father. The man who'd loaned Mark $50,000 to expedite our divorce. My stomach turned as I realized this was Mark's version of a joke, dangling fake hope about Emma's future while actively working to sabotage it. That's nice of him, I managed. Yeah, he's a good guy. Really values family, you know? Traditional values. Mark checked his watch. Shit, I'm late again. Love you, babe. He was out the door before I could respond, leaving me standing in our kitchen, surrounded by the coffee cups and breakfast dishes of our normal Tuesday morning. Everything looked exactly the same as it had an hour ago, but my entire world had shifted. I waited until his car disappeared down our street, then pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. Pictures of the safe combination that I'd memorized. Pictures of the storage unit receipt I'd found tucked behind our marriage certificate. Pictures of every document in that safe, including the home equity paperwork I'd signed without really reading. Then I called my sister Jenny in Seattle. Sarah? What's wrong? You never call this early. Jen, I need you to listen to me carefully. Don't interrupt, and don't hang up no matter how crazy this sounds. I told her everything. The secret account, the affair, the divorce papers, the private investigator. With each detail, her breathing got heavier on the other end of the line. Jesus Christ, Sarah. How long has this been going on? Months. Maybe longer. He's been planning to serve me on Valentine's Day. That's in 3 weeks. I know. I was pacing now, Emma's art projects and Jake's school papers covering every surface of our kitchen. Jen, he's going to take my kids. He's got documentation, money, lawyers. He's made me look like an unfit mother while I've been playing house. Not if we stop him first. The certainty in her voice made me pause. What do you mean? I mean you're not the same naive girl who married him, Sarah. You've got evidence now. You've got time. And you've got me. I heard her typing in the background. I'm booking a flight. Don't do anything until I get there. Jen, you don't have to. The hell I don't. This is war, Sarah. And Mark just brought a knife to a gunfight. More typing. There's a flight at 6:20 p.m. I'll be there by 10 tonight. After I hung up, I sat in the silence of my kitchen for exactly 5 minutes. Then I did what I should have done months ago when I first noticed Mark's behavior changing. I started paying attention. I pulled up our joint bank account online and began going through statements with a fine-tooth comb. Mark had been clever about the timing, but he hadn't been perfect. There were patterns I'd missed. Small cash withdrawals every Friday, never more than $200, but adding up to thousands over the months. ATM withdrawals from locations across town where he had no business being. A recurring $89 monthly charge I'd assumed was his gym membership. The storage unit. But there was something else. A charge from 3 months ago that I'd completely overlooked, $850 to Westfield Family Services. I googled the name and felt my stomach drop. Westfield Family Services specialized in child custody evaluations and family court mediation. According to their website, they offered comprehensive parenting assessments and expert testimony for custody proceedings. Mark had already started building his case against me professionally. I called their office, my heart hammering. Westfield Family Services, this is Monica. Hi, I'm calling about an evaluation that may have been ordered for my family. Sarah Patterson. My husband Mark Patterson may have contacted you? Let me check our files. The sound of typing. Yes, Mrs. Patterson. Your husband initiated a preliminary consultation in October. Our records show he's requested a full family assessment, but we're still waiting on your consent forms. My consent forms? Yes, both parents need to sign off on the evaluation process. Mr. Patterson explained that you were hesitant about the assessment, but he felt it would be beneficial for the family dynamics. Beneficial for the family dynamics. What exactly did my husband tell you? I can't discuss specific details over the phone, but he did express concerns about parenting consistency and household stability. He seemed very committed to finding solutions. Solutions. Like taking my children away from me. I see. And what happens if I don't sign the consent forms? Well, typically these evaluations are voluntary unless ordered by a court. But Mr. Patterson did mention he might need to pursue legal channels if an agreement couldn't be reached privately. I thanked Monica and hung up, adding Westfield Family Services to my growing list of Mark's preparations. He'd been setting up a paper trail for months, financial records showing his responsibility, documentation of my failures, professional evaluations questioning my parenting. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Patterson, this is Detective Mike Foster. Your husband hired me to conduct some routine surveillance. I wanted to give you a heads up that I'll be discontinuing services effective immediately. Some lines shouldn't be crossed. Good luck. I stared at the message, reading it 3 times. The private investigator Mark had hired to follow me had just quit. And warned me. Before I could process what that meant, my phone rang. Mark's contact photo filled the screen, the picture I'd taken of him last Christmas morning, grinning while Jake climbed all over him. Hey babe, quick question. Did anyone call the house today? Maybe someone looking for me? My throat felt tight. No, why? Weird. I got a message that someone was trying to reach me about. Never mind, probably a spam thing. He paused. You sound strange. Everything okay? Just tired. Jake was up half the night with that cough. Right, yeah. Maybe you should take him to the doctor if it gets worse. We don't want. He trailed off. Don't want what? Nothing. Just, better safe than sorry with the kid's health. More documentation. More evidence of my supposed neglect if I didn't take Jake to the doctor. More proof of his superior parenting for suggesting it. Of course. I was already planning to call Dr. Martinez. Good. That's good. Listen, I might be late tonight. The Peterson account is heating up. Peterson account. Rachel Morrison. How late? Not sure. Don't wait up. His voice softened, taking on that familiar loving tone that used to comfort me. Sarah? I know I've been working a lot lately, but it's all for us, For the family. Everything I do is for you and the kids. The audacity of it, lying to me while planning my destruction, claiming it was all for the family he was systematically betraying. I know, I whispered, because I couldn't trust my voice with anything else. I love you, babe. Love you too. After he hung up, I sat holding my phone, staring at those last words. When was the last time they'd been true? When had Mark stopped loving me and started seeing me as an obstacle to eliminate? I walked upstairs to our bedroom and opened his closet. Everything looked normal, his suits organized by color, his shoes lined up precisely, his ties hanging on the rack I bought him for our anniversary 2 years ago. But now I knew what to look for. Hidden behind his winter coats, I found a small duffel bag I'd never seen before. Inside, $3,000 in cash, a copy of his passport, and a manila folder labeled emergency documents. Mark wasn't just planning to divorce me. He was planning to disappear. The manila folder contained copies of documents I didn't even know existed. A second passport for Mark, but this one had a different middle name. Mark David Patterson instead of Mark James Patterson. The photo was recent, maybe 6 months old, taken at one of those passport photo places in the strip mall. There was also a birth certificate I'd never seen. Mark David Patterson, born in Cleveland, Ohio, not Detroit like he'd always told me. The parents' names were different too. Robert and Linda Patterson, not the Michael and Susan he'd introduced me to at our wedding. My hands were shaking as I photographed everything with my phone. Who was my husband? Who had I been married to for 8 years? At the bottom of the folder was a business card for International Consulting Services with a handwritten note on the back, account ready. Payment setup complete. $150,000 transferred. Awaiting final instructions. Martinez. Cayman Islands. Mark had offshore accounts. I heard the garage door opening and my heart stopped. He wasn't supposed to be home for hours. I shoved everything back into the duffel bag, threw it behind the coats, and slammed the closet door just as I heard his footsteps on the stairs. Sarah? Where are you? Just changing the sheets, I called out, grabbing a pillowcase and trying to look busy. My voice sounded normal but my pulse was hammering in my throat. Mark appeared in the doorway, still in his suit but loosened tie. His eyes swept the room quickly, too quickly, like he was checking for disturbances. Forget something? I asked, shaking out the pillowcase. Yeah, my phone charger. But he wasn't looking toward his nightstand where he kept it. He was looking at his closet. Did you need anything from my side today? No, why would I? I forced myself to meet his eyes. Is everything okay? You seem nervous. Something flickered across his face. Just a long day. The Peterson thing is getting complicated. He walked to his closet and I held my breath. Please don't check behind the coats. Please. Mark grabbed a different tie from the front rack, one I'd never seen him wear to work. Red silk with tiny gold patterns. Actually, I need to head back out. Dinner meeting with a client. On a Tuesday night? Industry thing. You know how it is. He was already changing ties, not making eye contact. Don't wait up. Could be late. Will you be home by midnight? I worry when you're driving tired. Probably not. Might just grab a hotel room downtown. The Marriott gives us corporate rates. More lies. I wondered if Rachel would be joining him at this fictional hotel. After Mark left again, I immediately called the number on Detective Foster's text. Foster Investigations. This is Sarah Patterson. You texted me earlier about discontinuing surveillance? Mrs. Patterson. His voice was gravelly, tired. Look, I don't usually get involved in client business, but what your husband asked me to do, it crossed a line. What kind of line? He wanted me to get close to your kids. Follow them at school, document their behavior, maybe even talk to their teachers about your parenting. I don't spy on children, Mrs. Patterson. I don't care how much someone pays me. My knees felt weak. He wanted you to spy on Emma and Jake? Among other things. He had some creative ideas about manufacturing evidence. Wanted me to catch you in compromising situations, his words. Said maybe I could be at the coffee shop when you had wine with lunch, make it look like a drinking problem. Jesus. There's more. Your husband isn't who he says he is, Mrs. Patterson. The background check I ran for the custody case turned up some interesting discrepancies. Has he ever mentioned living in Phoenix? Phoenix? No, never. Well, Mark David Patterson lived in Phoenix from 2018 to 2019. Had a different wife then. Jennifer Patterson, maiden name Torres. Divorce was ugly. Very similar pattern to what he's doing to you now. Secret accounts, affair partner, custody battle. The room was spinning. He was married before? Divorced in Phoenix Family Court, August 2019. 3 months before he married you in Oregon. Foster paused. Mrs. Patterson, I don't think your husband's name is really Mark James Patterson. I think he's been using false identities for years. That's impossible. We have a marriage license, joint accounts. Mark David Patterson is real. Born in Cleveland, parents deceased, no siblings. Perfect identity to steal. Your Mark probably has the real Mark David's social security number, birth certificate, the works. I sank onto the bed, still holding the phone. What happened to his first wife? Jennifer? That's where it gets interesting. Jennifer Torres filed for divorce claiming emotional abuse, financial manipulation, and adultery. She got a restraining order. But here's the thing, she disappeared 6 months after the divorce was finalized. Phoenix PD has an open missing persons case. The room felt like it was closing in. Missing? Could be nothing. Could be she just wanted a fresh start after a bad marriage. But the timing was suspicious. She'd been fighting for additional alimony, claiming Mark had hidden assets overseas. Then she just vanished. Oh my God. Mrs. Patterson, I'm going to give you some advice. Whatever you're planning to do about this marriage, do it fast. And when you do it, make sure lots of people know where you are. After Foster hung up, I sat in the silence of my bedroom, surrounded by the life I built with a man who apparently didn't exist. The photos on our dresser, our wedding day, Emma's birth, family vacations, suddenly felt like evidence in a crime I didn't understand. My phone buzzed. A text from Mark, dinner running long. Definitely staying downtown tonight. Kiss the kids for me. But I could see his location on Find My Phone. He wasn't downtown. He was at 428 Maple Street. I googled the address. It was Rachel Morrison's apartment complex. I stared at Mark's location pin on my phone, watching it sit motionless at Rachel's apartment complex. 428 Maple Street, Unit 7B according to the directory I found online. The same address from those Zillow screenshots in his folder. They were already living together part-time while I played the devoted wife at home. But that wasn't what made my hands shake as I screenshot his location. It was the realization that Mark had been stupid enough to forget to turn off location sharing. After months of meticulous planning, fake identities, and offshore accounts, he'd made a rookie mistake. Which meant maybe he'd made others. I opened our shared cloud storage and started digging through files I'd never paid attention to before. Mark's automatic photo backup was still on, syncing every picture he took to our family account. Most recent photos showed exactly what I expected: Rachel in various states of undress, cozy dinner dates, weekend trips I'd been told were client meetings. But buried in his camera roll from 2 weeks ago, I found something that made my blood freeze. Photos of our house. But not normal family photos, these were systematic, methodical shots. Every room from multiple angles, close-ups of serial numbers on our appliances, detailed images of Emma's art projects with dates written on the back. Mark had been documenting our entire home like he was creating an inventory. Then I found the real estate photos. Professional listing photos of our house, taken by someone with expensive equipment. Our living room staged perfectly, Emma's toys cleared away, fresh flowers on the kitchen counter. The photos were dated last week, Thursday, when I'd taken the kids to Jake's speech therapy appointment. Mark had been having our house photographed for sale while I wasn't home. I scrolled further and found email drafts in his phone's photos, screenshots of messages he'd been composing to someone named Peterson. Not a client account. A person. Asterisk Peterson, phase 1 complete. House photos uploaded to secure folder. Appraisal scheduled for January 20th as still unaware. Custody documentation progressing on schedule. Timeline remains Valentine's Day. Confirm wire transfer for $75,000 by end of week. M asterisk. Peterson was paying Mark $75,000 for something related to our divorce. Another piece of the puzzle I didn't understand, but I photographed everything. My phone rang. Jenny. I landed early, she said without preamble. I'm in a rental car, should be there in 20 minutes. Are the kids home? They're at after-school care until 5:30. Mark's not here, he's at his girlfriend's place. Saying it out loud made it real in a way it hadn't been before. Good. We need to talk before they get home. Jenny's voice was sharp, focused. Sarah, I've been making calls during my layover. I found something you need to know about. More than a fake identity and a missing ex-wife? You talked to the private investigator. Good. I heard her car door slam. I called our cousin Marcus in Portland. The one who works for the FBI? I asked him to run Mark's information through some databases. Marcus. I'd forgotten Jenny's cousin worked in financial crimes. They'd stayed close since childhood. What did he find? Mark James Patterson doesn't exist. Never has. But Mark David Patterson, your husband's real identity, he's been flagged by the Treasury Department. They think he's part of a larger identity theft ring that targets vulnerable women. The words didn't make sense. Targets women? It's called a romance scam but more sophisticated. These guys don't just steal money online, they actually marry their victims, establish legal access to everything, then systematically drain their assets before disappearing. Marcus says there are at least 6 other cases with similar patterns across 4 states. I sank into our kitchen chair, the same spot where I'd eaten breakfast with my children that morning, back when I still believed my life was real. The missing ex-wife in Phoenix? Jennifer Torres? Jenny continued. She wasn't the first. Marcus found records of 2 other women. Same pattern: whirlwind romance, quick marriage, gradual financial manipulation, then divorce with the women left financially ruined. Jennifer was different because she started fighting back. And then she disappeared. Right. Jenny's voice got quieter. Sarah, Marcus thinks Peterson might be the handler. The person who coordinates these operations, helps with new identities, launders the money. If Mark's reporting to Peterson about your divorce timeline, they're planning something worse than just leaving me broke. Marcus is driving down from Portland tonight. Unofficially, he says. But Sarah, we need to get you and the kids somewhere safe before we do anything else. I looked around our kitchen, Emma's school permission slips on the counter, Jake's medicine schedule taped to the refrigerator, the grocery list I'd been adding to all week. Normal life, happening in the shadow of something monstrous. I can't just disappear, Jen. If I take the kids and run, Mark will use it against me in court. He'll say I'm unstable, that I kidnapped them. There won't be a court case if you're dead, Sarah. The words hung in the air between us. I heard Jenny's rental car pulling into our driveway. I have to pick up Emma and Jake in 15 minutes, I said. They can't know anything's wrong yet. I won't traumatize my children because their father is a sociopath. Then we do this smart, Jenny said, and I saw her walking up our front path through the window. We get everything we need tonight, and we get you to safety before Valentine's Day. But Sarah? Yeah? Pack a bag. Just in case. Jenny was sitting at my kitchen table when I got back from picking up the kids, her laptop open and papers spread everywhere. She looked up as Emma and Jake burst through the door, their backpacks hitting the floor with identical thuds. "Aunt Jenny!" Emma shrieked, launching herself into Jenny's arms. "Mom didn't tell us you were coming." "It's a surprise visit, sweetheart." Jenny caught my eye over Emma's head. "I missed you guys too much to wait for summer." Jake was more reserved, hanging back by my legs, but his face lit up when Jenny pulled a bag of his favorite gummy bears from her purse. "These are from the Seattle airport. They taste different than regular ones." While the kids settled in with snacks and homework at the breakfast bar, Jenny gestured for me to join her at the table. She'd been busy during the hour I was gone. Her laptop screen showed what looked like a complex spreadsheet with dates, locations, and dollar amounts. "I've been cross-referencing everything you told me with Marcus's information," she said quietly. "Sarah, this is bigger than we thought." She turned the laptop toward me. The spreadsheet showed a pattern spanning 6 years and 4 states. Column headers read, target name, marriage date, divorce filing, assets transferred, current status. Jennifer Torres, Phoenix, $180,000 transferred. Status, missing. Amanda Chen, Sacramento, $95,000 transferred. Status, bankruptcy filed. Lisa Rodriguez, Denver, $220,000 transferred. Status, lost custody, relocated. Sarah Patterson, Portland, $247,000 identified. Status, active. Marcus pulled financial records, Jenny whispered. "The amounts match perfectly with what you found in Mark's secret account. But look at the timeline." She pointed to the marriage dates. Mark had married Jennifer Torres in June 2019. Our marriage certificate was dated September 2019. 3 months. He wasn't even divorced when he married you? Gets worse. Look at Amanda Chen's dates. Jenny highlighted a row. Married January 2018, divorced August 2018. But Jennifer Torres was married to him in March 2018. My stomach dropped. He was married to both of them at the same time? Bigamy is apparently the least of his crimes. Marcus thinks Mark, whoever he really is, has been running this scam for years. Multiple identities, multiple wives, systematic asset theft. Emma looked up from her math homework. "Mom, when's Dad coming home? I want to show Aunt Jenny the drawing I made of him." "He's working late tonight, honey. Maybe tomorrow." But even as I said it, I was checking Find My Phone again. Mark's location had moved from Rachel's apartment to downtown Portland, specifically, to the address I now recognized as Hendricks, Palmer and Associates. His lawyer's office. At 7:30 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Jenny saw me looking at my phone. "What is it?" I showed her the screen. Emergency meeting with his divorce attorney? Or something spooked him? Jenny's expression darkened. Marcus said he was going to make some calls, verify a few things. If word got back to Peterson. My phone buzzed. Text from Mark, change of plans. Flying to Chicago tonight for emergency client meeting. Back Friday. Kiss my babies for me. But his location pin was still sitting at the law office downtown. "Mom?" Jake looked up from his coloring book. "Why do you look scared?" I forced my expression to relax. "Just tired, buddy. Aunt Jenny surprised me today and I'm still processing." Jenny closed her laptop. "Hey Emma, Jake, how would you feel about a sleepover at that new hotel with the indoor pool? The one with room service? Tonight?" Emma's eyes widened. "Can we order pizza to the room?" "Whatever you want. Think of it as an adventure with Aunt Jenny." Jake was already bouncing in his chair. "Can we swim after dinner?" "Absolutely." Jenny looked at me. "I think we all need a change of scenery tonight." "What do you say, Mom?" I understood what she was really asking. Get the kids somewhere public, somewhere safe, while we figured out our next move. That sounds perfect. Go pack your overnight bags, guys. Don't forget pajamas and swimsuits. As the kids thundered upstairs, Jenny grabbed my hand. "Sarah, Marcus just texted. Mark David Patterson boarded a flight to Grand Cayman 2 hours ago. Not Chicago. He's accessing those offshore accounts." The room tilted. But his phone shows he's still downtown. Probably left it at the lawyer's office to throw off tracking. Jenny was already shoving papers into her bag. "This is it. He's cleaning out everything and running. We have maybe 24 hours before those accounts disappear forever." Upstairs, I could hear Emma and Jake arguing about which stuffed animals to pack. Normal sibling chaos, while their world crumbled around them. What do? We beat him at his own game. Jenny's smile was sharp. Marcus is already working on freezing the accounts we've identified. But first, we need to get to that storage unit before Mark realizes we know about it. The hotel room felt surreal, Emma and Jake splashing in the pool below while Jenny and I sat by the window, planning what felt like a heist against my own husband. Marcus had arrived an hour ago, his FBI credentials and grim expression making everything feel suddenly, terrifyingly real. "The storage unit closes at midnight, but the facility has 24-hour keypad access," Marcus said, consulting his notes. "Unit 247, like the text messages showed. The question is whether Mark changed the access code before he left for Grand Cayman." "He didn't know I'd found the burner phone," I said. "Why would he change it?" "Because Peterson might have told him to. We've been making inquiries all day, there's a chance word got back to their network." Marcus looked up from his laptop. "The Treasury Department has been tracking this operation for 2 years. Mark's just one piece of a larger organization that's stolen over $4 million from women across the western states." $4 million. I thought about Amanda Chen in Sacramento, Lisa Rodriguez in Denver, Jennifer Torres who'd simply vanished. How many of us were there? "What exactly are we looking for in the storage unit?" Jenny asked. "Evidence. Financial records, fake documents, anything that proves systematic fraud." Marcus pulled up photos on his phone. "But also this, we think Mark keeps insurance policies on all his targets. Life insurance policies you probably don't know you signed." My blood went cold. "Life insurance?" "It's part of the pattern. During the marriage, he gets you to sign documents, sometimes disguised as other paperwork. Refinancing forms, tax documents, anything where your signature won't look suspicious. Hidden in those stacks are life insurance applications, making him the beneficiary. I thought about the home equity papers I'd signed 3 weeks ago, barely reading them while Mark assured me it was just smart financial planning. How many other documents had I blindly signed over the years? The women who disappeared, I whispered. Jennifer Torres. We think Peterson's operation has 2 exit strategies, Marcus said. For women who don't fight back, they just drain the accounts and abandon them. But for women who start catching on, who might expose the whole network. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Sarah, this is David Hendricks from the law office. Mark asked me to contact you about urgent documents that need signing. Can you come in first thing tomorrow morning? Time-sensitive family matter. That's not Mark's lawyer, I said, showing them the text. Mark's lawyer is Hendricks, Palmer and Associates, but he'd never text me directly about Mark's case. Conflict of interest. Marcus took my phone, studying the message. The number's local, but it's a burner. Someone's trying to get you to that law office. He looked up. Sarah, what if Mark didn't fly to Grand Cayman? What if Peterson told him to clean up loose ends before disappearing? Jenny grabbed my arm. We're going to that storage unit right now. What about Emma and Jake? They're safe here. Hotel security, cameras everywhere, and Marcus's partner is in the lobby. Marcus was already packing his equipment. Kids think it's a fun sleepover. Let's keep it that way. The storage facility was eerily quiet at 11:47 p.m., rows of identical metal doors stretching into shadows under flickering security lights. Unit 247 sat at the end of the third row, secured with both the facility's lock and Mark's personal padlock. Marcus made quick work of both locks while Jenny kept watch. When the metal door rolled up, we stood staring at 8 years of my life, systematically cataloged and stored like evidence in a case I was never supposed to solve. But what we found there changed everything. The storage unit was organized like a filing system for stolen lives. Metal shelves lined the walls, each labeled with dates and what looked like case numbers. But it wasn't just my documents stored here. The first box I opened was labeled Torres, Jennifer, Phoenix 2019. Inside were copies of bank statements, medical records, even Jennifer's college transcripts. At the bottom, I found something that made my hands shake, a death certificate for Jennifer Maria Torres, dated March 15, 2020. Cause of death listed as accidental drowning. Marcus, I whispered, holding up the document. Jennifer Torres isn't missing. According to this, she's dead. He took the certificate, examining it under his phone's flashlight. This is fake. Printed on regular paper, wrong seal for Maricopa County. But it's good quality, someone's been planning to use this. Jenny had found another box, Rodriguez, Lisa, Denver 2021. Same systematic organization, same types of documents. But Lisa's box contained something else, custody evaluation reports recommending that Mark receive full custody of her children due to Lisa's documented mental instability and substance abuse. Jesus, Jenny breathed. He's been using the same playbook for years. I found my own box at the back, Patterson, Sarah, Portland 2024. It was thicker than the others, more detailed. Mark had been documenting my life obsessively, photos of me at grocery stores, coffee shops, picking up the kids. Timestamps showing I'd arrived 10 minutes late to Emma's soccer practice, been on my phone during Jake's school play, fallen asleep during a PTA meeting. But underneath the surveillance photos, I found documents that stopped my heart. Life insurance applications with my forged signature. 3 different policies through 3 different companies, each worth $500,000, all naming Mark as sole beneficiary. The applications were dated over the past 6 months, submitted with medical records I'd never seen, records claiming I had a history of depression and anxiety that would support a suicide ruling. He's not planning to just disappear, I said, my voice hollow. He's planning to kill me and make it look like suicide. Marcus was photographing everything with professional efficiency. This is enough to bring down Peterson's entire network. But Sarah, we need to get you and the kids somewhere safe tonight. If Mark knows we've been here. The lights in the storage facility suddenly cut out. Emergency lighting kicked in a few seconds later, casting everything in an eerie red glow. Marcus immediately drew his weapon, gesturing for Jenny and me to get behind the shelving units. Could be automatic, he whispered. Facilities sometimes cut main power after midnight. But then we heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming from the direction of the main entrance. Stay here, Marcus breathed, moving toward the unit's entrance. Don't make a sound. Jenny grabbed my hand, squeezing tight. Through the gap in the shelving, I could see someone moving between the storage units with a flashlight. The beam swept methodically across each row, getting closer. My phone vibrated against my leg. Text message. Mark, Sarah, where are you? Came home early to surprise you. House is empty, kids aren't in their beds. Getting worried. But Mark was supposed to be in Grand Cayman. And according to Find My Phone, his device was still at the law office downtown. Another text, this time from the same unknown number as before. Mrs. Patterson, this is David Hendricks. I'm at your house with some urgent documents. Your husband asked me to wait for you here. Please come home immediately. Someone was at my house. Someone else was here at the storage facility. And Mark was supposedly in the Caribbean. Jenny, I whispered, showing her the messages. How many people are involved in this? The footsteps stopped right outside our unit. A voice called out, deep, unfamiliar, with a slight accent I couldn't place. Mrs. Patterson? We know you're in there. We just want to talk. Marcus raised his weapon, finger on the trigger. Sarah, the voice continued, your husband sends his regards. He's very disappointed that you've been snooping through his private affairs. A different voice, younger, boss, the FBI guy's car is in the parking lot. This is blown. Then we clean it up here. All of it. I heard the distinctive sound of guns being cocked. Marcus fired first. The gunshot echoed through the storage facility like a thunderclap. Marcus had fired a warning shot into the ceiling, and suddenly everything was chaos and shouting. Federal agent. Drop your weapons. Go, go, go. Jenny yanked me toward the back of the unit as more footsteps pounded toward us. Is there another exit? I pressed myself against the cold metal wall, my heart hammering so hard I could barely think. The fence, I gasped. There's a gap in the back fence where kids cut through to the school. Marcus was at the unit entrance, using the door frame as cover. 2 suspects, both armed, he called back to us. I'm calling for backup, but we need to move now. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Text after text from Mark's number. Asterisk Sarah, please come home. The kids need their mother. Asterisk. Asterisk I know you found some things on my computer. We can work this out. Asterisk. Asterisk don't make this harder than it has to be. Asterisk. But the timestamp on the messages was impossible. Mark couldn't be texting from Grand Cayman and have people here in Portland simultaneously. Unless. Marcus. I called out. I don't think Mark ever left Portland. The flight records, the offshore accounts, what if that was misdirection? A voice from outside answered instead, smart girl. Too smart for your own good. I knew that voice. I'd heard it at school functions, PTA meetings, Emma's soccer games. Jim Morrison. Rachel's father, the man who loaned Mark $50,000. Mr. Morrison? I called out, my voice shaking. What are you doing here? Cleaning up my daughter's mess, Sarah. Rachel never should have gotten involved with a married man, but Mark promised her a clean slate. New identities, fresh start in the islands. Morrison's voice was getting closer. But you had to go playing detective, didn't you? Jenny grabbed my arm. The back fence. Now. But as we crept toward the rear of the storage unit, I heard another voice that made my blood freeze. Sarah? Honey, are you in there? Mark. Not in Grand Cayman. Right here. I know you're scared, he continued, his voice taking on that gentle, loving tone I'd fallen for 9 years ago. But Peterson and Morrison are getting impatient. They want this finished tonight. Peterson. The handler Marcus had told us about. Peterson wasn't just coordinating, he was here. You've caused us a lot of trouble, Mrs. Patterson, came a third voice, cultured and calm. Jennifer Torres caused us trouble too. Look how that ended for her. My knees nearly buckled. Jennifer Torres really was dead. They'd killed Mark's previous wife when she got too close to the truth. Marcus was speaking quietly into his phone, calling for backup, but I could hear the strain in his voice. We were outnumbered and trapped. Sarah, Mark called out again, think about Emma and Jake. They're safe at the hotel right now, but my associates are very thorough. It would be such a tragedy if something happened to them because their mother wouldn't cooperate. They knew about the hotel. They'd been watching us all evening. You're bluffing, Marcus called out. There's FBI protection on those kids. Morrison laughed. Agent Chen, your partner Agent Williams sends his regards. Tall guy, dark hair, sitting in the hotel lobby? He's taking an unexpected nap right now. Jenny's face went white. If they'd compromised Marcus's partner, if they'd gotten to Emma and Jake. My phone rang. Emma's contact photo filled the screen, the picture I'd taken of her gap-toothed grin last month. Mommy? Her voice was small, scared. There are some men here who say they know you. They want to talk to you. Emma, baby, where are you? Are you with Aunt Jenny's friend from the lobby? He's sleeping, Mommy. These other men came and now Jake is crying and I don't know where you are. The phone was pulled away from her. Peterson's cultured voice came on the line. Mrs. Patterson, your children are perfectly safe for now. But I'm afraid their continued safety depends entirely on your cooperation. Walk out of that storage unit with your hands visible, and we can discuss this like civilized people. Don't you dare hurt my children, I snarled into the phone. That's entirely up to you, Sarah. You have 30 seconds to decide. The phone went dead in my hands, Emma's terrified voice echoing in my ears. 30 seconds to save my children's lives. I looked at Jenny's pale face, at Marcus crouched by the unit entrance with his weapon drawn, at the boxes of evidence that proved Mark had been systematically destroying women for years. I have to go out there, I whispered. Sarah, no. Jenny grabbed my arm. The moment you walk out there, you're dead. Just like Jennifer Torres. Marcus was still talking rapidly into his radio. Backup's 10 minutes out, he said quietly. Portland PD is en route to the hotel. We just need to buy time. My children don't have 10 minutes. The words came out louder than I intended, and I heard Mark's footsteps shift closer to our unit. But then I noticed something. In Jennifer Torres's box, underneath the forged death certificate, there was a small digital recorder. Still functional, with a note taped to it in Jennifer's handwriting, insurance policy, everything they said, recorded. Hidden copies with my sister in Tucson. They don't know about Maria. Jennifer had been smarter than they realized. She'd recorded Peterson's people discussing their plans, left evidence behind that they never found. The sister they didn't know existed. My hands were shaking as I powered on the recorder. It was still half-charged. 20 seconds, Sarah. Peterson called out. Your daughter is asking for you. I made a decision that terrified me. I hit record on Jennifer's device, shoved it into my jacket pocket, and walked toward the front of the storage unit with my hands raised. I'm coming out, I called. Don't hurt my babies. Marcus grabbed my wrist as I passed him. Sarah, what are you doing? What Jennifer Torres tried to do. Getting them on record. I squeezed his hand. 10 minutes for backup. I can stall for 10 minutes. The emergency lighting cast everything in hellish red as I stepped out of the storage unit. 3 men stood in a semicircle 15 feet away, Mark in his wrinkled business suit, Jim Morrison looking like he'd come straight from a country club dinner, and a thin man in an expensive overcoat who had to be Peterson. There's my beautiful wife, Mark said, but his smile was cold, nothing like the man who'd kissed me goodbye 12 hours ago. I've missed you, Sarah. Where are my children? Peterson checked his watch, a Rolex that probably cost more than my car. Safe, for now. Though I must say, your Emma is quite the little fighter. She bit one of my associates when he tried to move her to a more secure location. Pride surged through my terror. That was my daughter. What do you want? I asked, keeping my voice steady while Jennifer's recorder captured every word in my pocket. Simple, Peterson said. You're going to come with us quietly. We're going to drive to your house, where you'll sign some documents, including a confession about your depression and financial troubles. Then you're going to take some sleeping pills, wash them down with wine, and go to sleep in your bathtub. And if I don't? Then Emma and Jake will have a very unfortunate accident on their way home from the hotel. Car crashes are so unpredictable, especially on those winding roads through the hills. Mark stepped closer, and I could see something different in his eyes. Not the man I'd married, not even the calculating stranger I discovered this morning. Something emptier. More dangerous. You should have just played along, Sarah. Been the good little wife until I was ready to leave. Jennifer Torres couldn't let it go either, and look what happened to her. You killed her. Peterson's people handled that unfortunate situation, Mark corrected. Though I did help stage the scene. Amazing what you can learn from YouTube these days. Behind them, I could see Marcus moving along the edge of the storage facility, trying to get a better angle. The recorder in my pocket was still running, capturing everything. How many women? I asked, genuinely curious now. How many lives have you destroyed? Peterson smiled. You're number 7, Mrs. Patterson. Though you've been by far the most profitable. That house alone will net us nearly $400,000 after we force the sale. 7 women, I repeated, letting the horror sink into my voice while Jennifer's recorder captured every word. And Jennifer Torres fought back, so you murdered her. Murder is such an ugly word, Peterson said, adjusting his expensive cufflinks. Jennifer had an unfortunate swimming accident. Very tragic. Of course, it helped that she'd been posting about her depression on social media for months beforehand. You made her post those things. Mark stepped closer, and I could smell his cologne, the same scent I'd been breathing in for 8 years, now making my stomach turn. Social media manipulation is surprisingly easy, Sarah. A few fake therapy sessions, some planted suggestions about feeling overwhelmed, financial stress, it builds a very convincing narrative. The insurance companies paid out without question, Morrison added proudly. $500,000 each, split 3 ways after expenses. Very profitable arrangement. I kept my expression neutral while rage burned through me. These monsters were discussing Jennifer's murder like a business transaction, and every word was being recorded. What about Amanda Chen in Sacramento? Lisa Rodriguez in Denver? I asked. Did they have accidents too? Peterson checked his Rolex again. Amanda was more compliant. Signed everything we needed, never questioned the financial arrangements. She's waiting tables in Reno now, I believe. Completely broken, of course, but alive. Lisa got suspicious near the end, Mark said conversationally. Started asking too many questions about the custody evaluation, hired her own attorney. We had to get creative with her. Creative how? Car accident, Morrison said with satisfaction. Non-fatal, but enough to cause a traumatic brain injury. Very sad. The courts had no choice but to award full custody to Mark when she could barely remember her own children's names. The casual cruelty of it made me dizzy. Lisa Rodriguez was alive but brain damaged, her children stolen from her by the man who'd caused her injuries. And now it's my turn for an accident, I said. Nothing personal, Sarah. You were actually one of our better Marks, trusting, devoted, completely focused on your children instead of finances. Mark's voice took on that patronizing tone I'd once found endearing. If you hadn't stumbled across my laptop this morning, you could have lived another few months before the suicide. I was planning to wait until after Emma's birthday party. After Emma's birthday party. He'd been planning to kill me but wanted to wait until after our daughter's celebration, like he was doing me some kind of favor. Speaking of timing, Peterson interrupted, we really need to move this along. The longer we delay, the more chance of complications. What about Rachel? I asked desperately, trying to buy more time for Marcus. Your daughter thinks she's getting a new life with Mark in the Caribbean. Does she know he's actually a serial killer? Morrison's face darkened. Rachel knows what she needs to know. Mark will take care of her once this mess is cleaned up. You mean once he kills her too? I looked directly at Mark. That's the plan, isn't it? Rachel's seen too much, knows too many details. She's a liability now. Something flickered in Mark's expression. Rachel and I love each other, Sarah. You wouldn't understand. I understood when you said you loved me. Right up until I found your murder folder on your laptop. I turned back to Peterson. How many more women are you planning to kill? How many children are you going to orphan? As many as it takes, Peterson said simply. This operation has been very successful for 3 years now. We perfected the process. Behind Peterson, I caught a glimpse of movement in the shadows between storage units. Marcus, getting into position. My phone buzzed against my leg, hopefully backup arriving at the hotel. One more question, I said, taking a small step backward toward our unit. Jennifer Torres recorded everything, didn't she? That's why you're all here personally instead of sending more disposable associates. She got you on tape. Peterson's calm mask slipped for the first time. Jennifer Torres is dead, Mrs. Patterson. Whatever recordings she may have made died with her. Are you sure about that? I smiled, thinking of the note I'd found, asterisk hidden copies with my sister in Tucson. They don't know about Maria asterisk. Because I think Jennifer was smarter than you realized. I think she left insurance policies you never found. The 3 men exchanged glances, and I knew I'd hit something important. Enough games, Morrison snarled, pulling a gun from his jacket. We're leaving now, or your children die tonight. That's when the Portland police sirens started wailing in the distance, getting closer. The sirens were getting louder, and I could see panic starting to creep into Peterson's composed expression. Morrison raised his gun, pointing it directly at my chest. Your FBI friend called for backup too early, Peterson said, his cultured voice tight with anger. This complicates things significantly. Mark grabbed my arm, his fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. We're leaving. Now. Sarah comes with us to ensure the children's cooperation. The police will be here in 3 minutes, I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. You can't get away with this. Watch us. Peterson was already moving toward a black SUV I hadn't noticed before, parked in the shadows near the facility's back exit. Morrison, take care of the FBI agent. Mark, bring your wife. That's when Marcus made his move. Federal agents. Drop your weapons. The storage facility exploded into chaos. Marcus came around the corner of our unit with his gun drawn, just as 3 more agents appeared from different directions. I hadn't even seen them arrive. Morrison spun toward Marcus, raising his pistol, but Mark yanked me backwards so hard I stumbled. "She comes with us or everyone dies," he shouted. "Let her go, Patterson." Marcus had a clear shot, but Mark was using me as a shield, one arm around my throat. "It's over. We've got your financial records, your communications, everything." "You've got nothing," Peterson called out, backing toward the SUV while keeping his own weapon trained on the nearest agent. "Sarah's going to have a tragic breakdown tonight. The stress of discovering her husband's affair, the financial problems she caused with her reckless spending. Even now, even surrounded by federal agents, he was still spinning the narrative that would cover their tracks. Financial problems I caused? I almost laughed, despite Mark's arm cutting off my air supply. You mean the $250,000 he stole from our joint accounts? Money that was moved to secure investments to protect the family assets, Peterson replied smoothly. All properly documented. Mark was trying to save the marriage while dealing with his wife's increasingly erratic behavior. The recorder in my pocket was still running, capturing Peterson's lies along with his earlier confessions. If I could just get this evidence to the right people. Tell them about Jennifer Torres, I gasped out, Mark's arm tightening around my windpipe. Tell them how you murdered her when she got too close to the truth. I don't know what you're talking about, Peterson said, but his eyes darted nervously toward the agents surrounding us. Marcus took a step closer. We found Jennifer's storage unit in Phoenix last month, Peterson. She kept copies of everything. Bank records, recordings, photographs. Your entire operation. My heart leaped. Jennifer's sister Maria in Tucson had kept the evidence safe, just like the note had said. Peterson's mask finally cracked completely. That's impossible. We searched everything. Her apartment, her car, her office. But you didn't know about her sister, Marcus said with satisfaction. And you definitely didn't know Jennifer mailed copies of everything to the FBI 2 weeks before she died. The sirens were deafening now, Portland police cars streaming into the storage facility parking lot with their lights blazing red and blue across the metal buildings. Mark's grip on me loosened slightly as he processed what Marcus was saying. You told me she was just some housewife with no family, he hissed at Peterson. She was supposed to be, Peterson snapped back. Your research was incomplete. My research? Mark's voice pitched higher, and I could feel him starting to panic. This is your operation, Peterson. I just follow orders. Morrison was looking frantically between the approaching police cars and the SUV that was supposed to be their escape route. We need to go. Now. But Marcus was shaking his head. Theodore Peterson, Marcus Morrison, Mark David Patterson, you're all under arrest for conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, and the murder of Jennifer Maria Torres. The moment Marcus said murder, Mark's arm dropped from my throat completely. I stumbled forward, gasping, as Portland police officers swarmed the scene. Behind me, I could hear Mark's voice rising to a panicked whine. Murder? Nobody said anything about murder. Peterson, you told me Jennifer's death was handled by someone else. Shut up, you idiot. Peterson snarled. But Mark was spiraling now, the careful facade of 8 years crumbling in real time. I signed up for financial fraud, not killing people. Sarah, I never meant for anyone to get hurt. Even his desperation felt like another manipulation, but I was too exhausted to care. I pulled Jennifer's recorder from my pocket and handed it to Marcus. Everything's on here, I said quietly. Their whole confession. 2 weeks later, I sat in my lawyer's office watching Mark's entire criminal network collapse on live television. The news anchor was detailing the charges, wire fraud, money laundering, conspiracy, and first-degree murder in the death of Jennifer Torres. Peterson had finally been charged after Jennifer's sister Maria provided the FBI with recordings, documents, and photographs that Jennifer had mailed to her the week before she died. The multi-state investigation has uncovered at least 12 victims across 6 years, the reporter continued. Federal agents estimate the total amount stolen exceeds $6 million. 12 victims. Not 7 like Peterson had bragged about in that storage facility. There were 5 more women whose lives had been destroyed while I was playing happy homemaker. My attorney, Rebecca Martinez, turned off the television and smiled at me across her desk. The good news keeps coming, Sarah. Mark's offshore accounts have been frozen and the Cayman Bank is cooperating fully with asset recovery. You should see approximately $340,000 returned to your accounts within 60 days. $340,000. More than what Mark had stolen from me, because the federal seizure included assets from his other victims. Blood money that would help rebuild my children's future. What about the house? Yours free and clear. The attempted fraudulent equity loan has been reversed, and Mark's name has been removed from the deed entirely. Turns out when your husband doesn't legally exist, his claim to marital property gets complicated. Rebecca's smile widened. The court also awarded you his legitimate investment portfolio, the one he actually earned from his real job. Another $180,000. I shook my head, still processing the magnitude of Mark's deception. Even his job had been partially legitimate, he really had worked in sales, really had earned commissions. But he'd been funneling everything through Peterson's network, using his real income to support the infrastructure for destroying women's lives. The custody hearing is next week, Rebecca continued, but it's purely a formality. Mark's parental rights are being permanently terminated given the criminal charges. Emma and Jake will never have to see him again unless they choose to when they're adults. And Rachel Morrison? Turned state's evidence against her father and Peterson in exchange for immunity. Apparently she genuinely believed she was in love with Mark and had no idea about the other victims. She's in witness protection now. Rebecca's expression darkened. Jim Morrison, on the other hand, is looking at life in prison. The financial crimes were bad enough, but his involvement in Jennifer Torres' murder sealed it. I thought about Emma and Jake, currently staying with Jenny in Seattle while I sorted through the legal aftermath. They knew their father had done bad things with money and wouldn't be coming home, but I was waiting until they were older to explain the full scope of Mark's crimes. For now, they were safe, and that was enough. My phone buzzed with a text from Jenny. Kids want to know if they can get a dog when they come home. Jake's already named it Detective Biscuit. I laughed, the first genuine laugh I'd had in months. Detective Biscuit sounded perfect for our new life. One more thing, Rebecca said, sliding a document across the desk. The FBI Victim Services Coordinator wanted me to give you this. It's contact information for Amanda Chen in Sacramento and Maria Torres in Tucson, Jennifer's sister. They'd both expressed interest in connecting with you. I stared at the paper, thinking about the other women who'd survived Mark's devastation, the sister who'd preserved Jennifer's evidence and helped bring down the entire network. Maybe together we could make sure this never happened to anyone else. Rebecca, I said, folding the contact information carefully. I want to start a foundation. Something to help women recognize these patterns, recover from financial abuse, rebuild their lives. What would you call it? I thought about Jennifer Torres, who'd been brave enough to record her killers even knowing the danger. About Amanda Chen starting over as a waitress in Reno. About all the women whose names I'd never know. The Sarah Patterson Foundation, I said finally. Because I'm done hiding from my own name. 3 months later, Emma and Jake were chasing Detective Biscuit through our backyard while I worked at the kitchen table, the same table where I discovered Mark's laptop, where my real life had finally begun. The Sarah Patterson Foundation was officially launching next week, funded by the recovered assets from Mark's crimes. My phone rang. Marcus Chen from the FBI. Sarah, wanted to give you an update. Peterson took a plea deal this morning. Life in prison without parole. He's also agreed to provide information about similar networks operating in other regions. How many more women? We think dozens, maybe hundreds across the country. Your foundation's educational materials are already helping victims identify the patterns. Marcus paused. There's something else. Mark wants to see you. My blood chilled. Absolutely not. I figured you'd say that. But Sarah, his attorney thinks he might have information about additional hidden assets. Money that belongs to you and the other victims. I watched my children playing in the sunshine, heard Jake's delighted laughter as Detective Biscuit knocked him over with kisses. Emma was teaching the dog to sit, her voice patient and encouraging. They were healing, thriving, building new memories in a house that was truly ours now. Tell Mark's attorney to put any information in writing, I said finally. I never want to see that man again. But Marcus? Make sure he knows something. What's that? Tell him I found the folder with my name on it. Tell him Sarah Patterson won. I hung up and walked outside to join my children, leaving the kitchen table behind. Detective Biscuit bounded over, tail wagging furiously, and I knelt down to scratch his ears while Emma and Jake tackled me with hugs. For the first time in 8 years, I was exactly where I belonged.